The JoLynn Braley Show, episode number 149. Desperate to stop binge eating? Don't do this. Hello, welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show, and if this is your first time tuning in, I will introduce myself to you. I am going to share with you on today's episode the number one mistake to avoid if you are desperate to stop binge eating. But first, as a way of introduction, my name is JoLynn Braley. I am the permanent weight loss coach who founded the kick-ass amazing Inner Self Diet, the diet that is not actually a diet because it is not a food diet, it is not an exercise program. Instead, what it does is it goes to the root of what is driving your binge eating, emotional eating, compulsive overeating, food obsessions, not being normal with food, right? All of that struggle, it goes to the root of that. And then by healing the root of it, you are able to change your behaviors because let's get real. You are not going to ever get to your goal weight and stay there if you don't change how you eat, what you eat, how much you're eating. You know, you do have to change your eating habits and your exercise habits. But the thing is that the awesome private coaching clients I work with in the Inner Self Diet, they already know what works for their body. They already know how to lose weight. Many of them have gotten to their goal weight more than once in the past, but they gained it all back because they never had the tools, they didn't have the training, they didn't have the know-how to be able to heal the root of what was driving their binge eating, what was driving their food obsessions, what was keeping them in doubt about themselves and mistrusting their body. All right, are you getting this? Is it making sense? So the cool thing is that once the root of what is keeping you out of control is healed, then you stop binge eating, then you stop emotional eating, then you stop using food as a crutch, you stop using food to cope with life, and you're able to live a healthy lifestyle without the eating disorders, without the fear of gaining it all back, without food fear, without food being your whole frickin' life. You know what I mean, Gene? It's like when you wake up in the morning, you open your eyes, and the first thing you think about is, oh my God, I gotta lose weight. Oh, but what am I gonna eat today? Oh, I shouldn't eat that. And should I eat breakfast? This person says I should avoid breakfast. This person over here says I should eat all kinds of fat. This person over here says go vegan. Okay. Oh, what should? I'm in such a rush, and I gotta get to work. Let's just hit Starbucks. And I know it's not the best thing for me, but tomorrow I'll change, or Monday. You know, it'll get better later. Or, oh my God, it's this time of year, which there is never a right time of year ever to make these changes. Have you ever noticed that? It doesn't matter if it's the holiday season. It doesn't matter if it's the 4th of July. There is always a reason not to change when you are so stuck in the struggle and when you haven't made the decision that you deserve better. All you got to do is make the decision that you deserve better, and it doesn't matter what time of year it is, you will get the job done. And if you don't know how to get the job done, you will reach out to get the coaching, to get the tools, to get the proven steps, to get the job done. All right? It comes down to your decision to value yourself high enough to get yourself out of this pain and frustration and never-ending struggle. Because I tell you what, if you're waiting until January 1st, for these things to change, if you're not willing to change them now, what exactly is going to change on January 1st? It's just another date on the calendar. How many times have you gone through that? How many times have you done that? And hey, if you're listening to my voice right now and it is June 20th, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. It doesn't matter, because when you are so caught in the cycle of struggle and frustration and addiction, by the way, continuing to put it off, that's a sign of addiction right there. Let's get real. That is addiction. I've been there before. If you've never tuned into one of my episodes, then you don't know that. So I'm letting you know that now. Yes, I have totally been in the struggles with the binge eating, with emotional eating, with food obsessions, with unhealthy food focus, with overweight. Okay, all of that stuff. I have been there too. I think that possibly, maybe, that helps me to be a better coach to my coaching clients also. And at least, I've gotten kind of some good feedback from them, and that's kind of cool. I don't think I'd still be doing this work after starting professional coaching in 2009. I don't think I'd still be here today if I wasn't helping clients get awesome results. You know what I mean, Jean? So anyway, I do understand what it is like to be in the struggle, and I understand what it's like to have all that anxiety and you want things to change. But if you don't have the right tools to change the real problem, and the real problem is not your binge eating, the real problem is not the fat on your body. If you don't have the tools to change these problems, then how are you going to change them? Does that make sense? Okay, so, let's go right into the number one mistake to avoid if you're desperate to stop binge eating. But first, if you don't already have my free download, you can get that at www.easyfunweightloss.com, www.easyfunweightloss.com. Hey, when you hear that, does that irritate you because you immediately disbelieve that it's possible to have an easy, fun time losing weight? So does that frustrate you to hear that? The thing is that when you get the right mindset is 92.8% of the challenge. It is 92.8% inner game if you want to win long term with your weight. All right? If you fix that and you heal the root of your ongoing food and weight struggles, then you really set yourself free. Then you are able to change your eating habits, change what you're eating, change how much you're eating. Eat only when you're physically hungry. Stop when you're physically full. Stop using food as a panacea for all of life's problems. Stop looking to food for a coping skill, right? I had a recent client who said that these are things, what I teach in the Inner Self Diet, they're things that she'd never learned. And that's how it is for most folks who are struggling with these problems. Because what you're trying to do, and what I used to try to do, you're using food as a way to cope and get through your day-to-day life. And the thing is food is an inanimate object, and it's meant to be fuel for the human body. And I understand that you feel a little bit better for about 5 minutes when you're eating that cake or eating those cookies or eating out of the ice cream carton, and maybe that's your fun. But that's not what food is supposed to be for. The problem, though, with all these words I'm saying right now is it's only a bunch of blah, 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 blah until you do the steps and you get the transformation for yourself. Words don't teach anything. Only experience teaches, and the only way that you can get the experience is by following the path that my other clients have already followed. Because otherwise I'm just talking. Does that make sense? You don't get it until you experience it. And anyway, you can get my free ebook, though, if you'd like to just take a little bitty baby step. And in that ebook, I give you 3 simple steps to start making weight loss easier from the inside out. And it's really simple. You get it at www.easyfunweightloss.com. Okay, so today's topic is when you're desperate to stop binge eating, I am suggesting that you don't do this. You don't do this. Avoid this number one mistake. All right. So what is the number one mistake? Here it is. Ding, 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 ding. I need to get some sound effects, like a sound effects board, or maybe I need to set myself up in a whole audio studio. That'd be kind of fun, and have these little buttons that I can press and have these sound effects, because I really do enjoy doing this podcast. And the people that I coach who come from my podcast, they are the best people. They are so freaking awesome. I love them so much because they've listened to me, and they know where I'm coming from, and they know that I can help them, and they're willing to change. They want the help, they want the tools, they want the pathway, and they know that they're not going to change overnight, right? Because there is no such thing as instant success. There is no magic bullet. Sorry to tell you, if I just dashed your dreams, that there's no magic fix for these problems. But if you start where you are and you take a step, and then you take another step, and then you take another step, and you take another step, and you stay consistent, and you just follow the instructions. I have never had a client since 2009 who just followed my instructions that did not break free of their food and weight struggles, because the struggle is all within you. It's not out there. It's all within you. Does that make sense? So you have to go within you to heal that. And the tools that I teach, they're the same tools that I give to all of my coaching clients, but it's a different experience for each person, because each person is an individual. So you use the tools to walk your own path and unravel your own internal struggles, heal the root of your binge eating, and then you change your eating behaviors, because again, we all have common sense, right? You're not going to lose weight and keep it off by continuing to overeat, by continuing to eat fake food, by continuing to have food be your whole life, and food be your lover and your boyfriend and your God. Okay? So scientifically, physiologically, the human body, you have to fuel it in a different way to get the fat off and keep it off. But it's impossible to do that when you're all caught up and you're all in this world of the intense food focus, and food is your distraction. Food is your everything. Again, hey, I'm raising my hand right now. I have been there before. I understand, and I understand how horrible it feels, and the anxiety and the fear that you're never going to get it right, and that maybe you should just give up and just go with that body positivity movement. Hey, I am not a body positivity advocate, and I'll tell you why. Because it is not natural for the human body to be overweight, and there is no apology needed for wanting to be at your best, healthiest, fittest weight and look your best in your jeans. You do not need to apologize for that, okay? And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter. So anyway, hey, let's get to this topic, because I kind of went off on a tangent there. So you're desperate to stop binge eating, and I am suggesting do not do this one thing. The number one biggest mistake that you can make is to expect another food diet, or a food diet that you've done in the past. If you expect a food diet to fix your binge eating, that is the biggest mistake that you could make. All right? And that's what everybody is doing, because the mainstream diet industry has brainwashed you to think that that is what you need, is to get thin, to get fit. You need to do this food diet, and you need to do this kind of exercise. And again, I think I've said this like 500 times on this podcast, but I just want to reiterate that yes, of course, you have to change your eating. You've got to change your exercise habits. You got to live a healthy lifestyle to lose weight and keep it off. Anybody that tells you, and I've seen promotions and ads about things in the past that actually said, you don't have to change your lifestyle at all. Just take our pill and you'll lose weight. That is not true. Okay? You have to change if you want a different result. Okay? And that's the same thing for me also. Same thing for all human bodies on this planet Earth that we are living on. You obviously have a human body because you have ears, you have hearing, and you're able to hear me talking right now. So you have a human body. You're not going to get out of the fact that you're going to have to change your eating and exercise habits. But if you are expecting a food diet to cure your binge eating, I'm sorry, you are looking in the wrong place, and that is the number one mistake that you can make. And actually, you don't need me to tell you this. Look at your past. How many years have you been struggling with this problem? I have never had a coaching client, and it's the same thing for me, never had a coaching client who this problem did not start in childhood or in teen years. In fact, here's how to figure out how old this problem is that you're dealing with right now. Take a pen and paper. Just pause the podcast. Get a pen and paper. It's so simple. But if you're not willing to do this really, really simple thing for yourself, then how willing are you to do the things that are required to end your binge eating once and for all? All right? So prove it to yourself that you're willing to take different action. All right? So now you have a pen and paper. If you pause the podcast and got that. And so write down on the paper, what's your current age? Just write the number. And then let's go back in time. Go back in time to the earliest memory that you can find of your wee little tiny baby body here on this earth, however old you were. And then come back up to your first memories of when you first started struggling in any way, shape, or form with this topic. You might not have even been overweight. I wasn't. I remember being 7 years old. It was summertime, and I was wearing this cute little pair of red shorts, and I sat down in the front seat of my parents' car, and I looked down at my thighs, and just like any human being on the planet, when you sit down in a seat, your thighs will spread out. Okay, that's for anybody. It doesn't matter what you weigh. And I was a thin, skinny little kid. But I sat down in the front seat of my parents' car. I looked down at my thighs in my little red shorts, and I thought the thought, I am fat. That's what I thought. That is where all of my struggles started, with that thought, even though I wasn't fat. I wasn't. And I had adults in my life who were greatly struggling with this topic on their own and being a little sponge like kids are. And all human beings are intuitive until you shut it down when you're a kid. You still have the power, but you have to develop it, and you have to believe that you do have this personal empowerment within yourself, not power over other people, but power to change your own mind, power to change your own body, power to feel your best, to finally become the best you that you've wanted to become your whole life, and to look good in your jeans without apology, okay? Because that's part of it. So all of my challenges started with that one thought. I was not overweight, and I'd picked up that thought from other adults in my environment, and that's where the whole thing started. And I really didn't have a physical weight problem until my first year of college, but the problem had been brewing for years in the thoughts. Thoughts become things. You might want to examine your own thoughts. Hey, if you often tell yourself, I can't hire a coach, I can't get help, I can't lose weight, and I can't have easy weight loss, I can't change my eating during the holiday season. I can't change my eating during the summertime because of all of the family activities. I can't change my eating habits and my binge eating because Valentine's is right around the corner. I can't change now because I've got to hand out Halloween candy. I can't because it's the weekend. I can't. You might want to take a look at what you say to yourself, because if you believe you can, guess what? You can. If you believe you can't, you're right, you can't. And what kind of results are you going to have a year from now if you just keep doing what you're doing now? Is this making sense? Are you getting it? You know what I mean, Jean? Okay, so back to the exercise. You've got your current age. You wrote that down on your paper. Now write the age that you were when you first started struggling in any way with this food and weight topic. So how old were you? 7, 10, 12, 13, 5? I've had some clients that they know they started struggling with this when they were 5 years old. Okay? And so the struggle was either evident in your physical body. You were already overweight as a kid. You were gaining weight, or it was a mental thing, or you started doubting yourself. You had a body image issue, or other people were telling you that you were fat and they wanted you to start dieting. Okay, somewhere this started. So write that age down on your paper, subtract the two numbers, circle the result, and that is how old this problem is. Okay, look at that number. What number do you have there? 34 years? 48 years? What's the number? Does it make sense that a food diet is not going to fix this big of a problem? Okay, so the number one mistake that you can make when you're desperate to stop binge eating is to just start another food diet without, I know I've said this so many times, there's nothing wrong and there's nothing bad about changing your eating habits, because you do have to do that to get the weight off and keep it off. But if at the same time you are not addressing the root of the problem, and the root of the problem is what drives your binge eating. The root of the problem is what got you to the place you are now. The root of the problem is what keeps you in the struggle, and it keeps you bouncing back and forth, where you start another food diet, and then maybe you started on Monday, and then maybe you get through Wednesday, or maybe you get to Friday, and then you bomb out, and it's the weekend. It doesn't matter because I've already screwed it up. Let's just start again on Monday. Or maybe you make it through 2 months. Maybe you even get all the way to your goal weight. But eventually you hit that wall. And it's that emotional wall where all of the things that you don't know how to deal with currently have all added up. And eventually they burst like a big water balloon, and you cannot handle it, and you immediately go binge because you don't know, you don't have the tools, you don't have the skills. You need to learn new skills to deal with your day-to-day life so that you can get through the ups and downs and still look your best in your jeans, even though stuff is going to happen in your life. I tell my coaching clients all the time, I remind them that the inner self diet doesn't mean that your life is going to be perfect. People are going to die. Companies are going to go out of business, so you could get laid off. You could get fired from your job. All kinds of things, right? But when you can go through these bad feeling, negative experiences in your life, and you can go through them and feel your emotions and go through them without using food to stuff down the uncomfortable feelings, without using food to try to cope, then you are free. Does this make sense? How would you feel? Just imagine if you could really do this. How much would that be worth to you? To be able to live a life where, let's say that there's some kind of tragedy that happens. Your boyfriend suddenly breaks up with you. You were engaged. Imagine that you're engaged and the wedding is all called off. That would be horrible. That would really, really suck. But if you could go through something that bad without using food to cope with it, and then come out on the other side where you're still at your healthy weight, and it doesn't mean that you're happy about the situation that occurred, but you're not using food to try to cover it up. You're not making yourself fat. You're not disgusting yourself and hating your body and giving yourself 10 million other problems to deal with, which is what happens when you use food to try to get through life. Does this make sense? Do you like what I'm saying? Is it something that you want? Or would you rather just, hey, if you would prefer to just do a food diet and lose weight, but then gain it back because you haven't healed the root, then that's another thing. And I would recommend that you don't listen to my podcast because I ain't got nothing for you if that's what you want. It's time for a commercial break here on the JoLynn Braley Show. This week's sponsor of the JoLynn Braley Show is my free ebook. That is my free ebook where you will get 3 simple steps to start making weight loss easier from the inside out. These are not diet tips. These are not exercise tips. These are totally different than what you're used to doing. And you can get that free download now by going to www.easyfunweightloss.com, www.easyfunweightloss.com. On each episode of the JoLynn Braley Show, I give you questions to ask yourself. I highly recommend that you pause this podcast, get pen and paper, write each question down, and then write your answer down to the question. There is a connection that occurs between the head, the hand, and the heart when you write pen on paper. You cannot get that connection if you type on a keyboard. You don't get any connection if all you do is listen to me talk. I 100% agree with Mr. Tony Robbins, who says you will never learn by listening alone. You have to get in there with yourself to actually start raising your level of self-awareness. You cannot change anything that you are not aware of. All right, so first question, and then just pause the podcast as you need time. First question, where am I going to be 1 year from now if I just keep going as I am? Where am I going to be 1 year from now if I just keep going as I am? What are the results that I will have? What am I going to weigh? What am I going to look like? What am I going to look like in my jeans? How am I going to feel about myself? How am I going to be relating to food? Will I be normal with food if I just keep going as I am? Just keep going alone and trying to figure these things out and just keep doing what I'm doing. If you're not sure where you're going to be a year from now, if you just keep going as you are now, then just look at your past results. That's all you have to do. Your results never lie. And the truth is, you have to do something radically different in order to get radically different results. Does that make sense? Have you ever heard of Einstein's definition of insanity? That is when you continue to do the same things over and over and over again, but you expect a different result. That is Einstein's definition of insanity. It's not my definition of insanity, it's Einstein's, and I think that Einstein was a lot smarter than me, so you might want to listen to him if you want to save yourself years of more struggle. All right? Number 2 question. Where could I be 1 year from now if I were to heal the root that drives my binge eating? Where could I be a year from now if I were to heal the root that drives my binge eating? Now, you don't have to know what the root is. You probably don't know what it is because none of us can see our own blind spots. And especially when you're dealing with a problem that is this old and this long, a problem that you've been dealing with for almost your whole life, then it's not unusual that you don't know what the root of the issue is. So all you're doing is answering the question for yourself, where could I be 1 year from now if I were to heal the root of my binge eating now? And what that means is if you were to heal the root of your binge eating, then you wouldn't be binge eating anymore, right? Just like my client Holly, who I coached back in 2011, she was pretty frustrated when she found me online. And she had been struggling with binge eating for over 30 years. She was way out of control, which she shares this publicly. If you want to read her testimonial, you can find that at fearlessfatloss.com/blog. And up in the menu, there's a link that says testimonials. And then there's a drop down for written testimonials. And then there's also audio testimonials. And she's in both of those spots. If you want to listen to 2 audio testimonials from her, one after she graduated the Inner Self Diet, and then I did another one where I followed up with her. It was like 4 years after she graduated and still binge eating free, and she just did my steps. That's all she did. It's not rocket science. It's not magic, but you have to follow the steps, And it's pretty cool. But then there's also more that goes into the Inner Self Diet because I am working privately and personally with my coaching clients. We work right over the phone. There's an accountability system that I have built in, which is very, very, very extremely important. And there's several other things that go into it. And it's kind of cool. But anyway, imagine if you really did stop binge eating, okay? And you were able to live a healthy lifestyle. Now, you can stop binge eating before you get to your ideal weight. It takes longer to get to your ideal weight than it does to stop binge eating. But doesn't it make sense that you first have to stop binge eating before you're going to start dropping fat, right? Does that make sense? Because you got to change that behavior and you've got to replace it with a healthy relationship with food. You got to get normal with food, achieve inner peace with food, and achieve that freedom that you desperately want. And when you do those things, then you're able to live healthy and fit, release the fat, and keep it off. All right. So depending on how much you currently are overweight, do you agree? Now, it depends. I mean, if you're 200 pounds overweight, that will take more than likely, if you're doing it in a healthy way, which is the only way that I advocate, it'll probably take you longer than a year. But if you're 20 pounds overweight, then you can definitely do that over the next year. I would think you could do it sooner than that. But first, you got to stop binge eating. So back to the question, number 2 question, where could I be 1 year from now if I were to heal the root of my binge eating now and stop binge eating? So what could you weigh? How would you look? How would you look in your jeans? How would you feel about yourself? What would you be thinking about yourself? How excited would you be to get out of bed each morning? What would your life, your day-to-day life be like? How would it impact your marriage or your boyfriend relationship or whatever kind of relationship you have going on? Or if you're single, how would it impact your dating experiences? If you were feeling so good in your own skin, if you were confident in yourself, no more of this self-doubt and second guessing. If you were trusting yourself, okay, where could you be a year from now? How would this impact your work life, your career, or your business? Because we all know that if you're not liking yourself, if you don't even like your own body, you take all of that with you to work, whether you work at home, in your own business, or you work in corporate or whatever kind of work you're doing. You can't just disconnect that cloud that's always with you. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever noticed that? It's like this brown cloud that's with you, and it contains all of this problem that hangs with you. What if you could let that thing go? How cool would that be? All of this is possible. I'm not just talking out of my butt, but you got to take action to make these transformations. It is 92.8% inner game mindset. It's your inner self programming. That's what it's about. Change that, reprogram your inner self, heal the root of this stuff, And there is no reason that 1 year from now you could not be just thrilled with your life, you know? And I'm not saying, actually, the truth is you need to get thrilled way, 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 way before a year. But within a year's time, again, depending on how many pounds overweight you are now, it depends. Again, I can't say, I don't know who you are. I'm just here in my home office studio doing this podcast. So I have no idea. This is not coaching. Coaching requires two-way communication. The only way that people work with me privately is we first have to get on the phone and find out if it's a good fit for me to coach them and for us to work together. It has to be a good mutual fit. So right now, I'm just talking. So I don't know. I don't know if you're 100 pounds overweight. I don't know if you're 300 pounds overweight. I don't know if you're 5 pounds overweight. I have had many coaching clients who are very, 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 very close to their ideal weight, but they are still stuck in the binge eating. They're still stuck in the food obsessions. And then they're using excessive exercise to try to compensate, and they're punishing themselves. So there's all kinds of different scenarios out there. But bottom line, couldn't you be a whole hell of a lot closer to your goal weight a year from now if you could just stop binge eating now? Does that make sense? Okay, this is kind of a long-winded explanation about just this one question. Okay, third question. Who is my coach? Who's believing in me when I don't believe in myself? Who is holding my hand virtually to help me walk this path so that I can heal the root of these problems? Who is helping me to see how smart I am to reach out to get coaching? Because only the strugglers stay at this all by themselves. Okay, all those other people out there who they keep telling themselves that they can do it alone. God bless them. I wish them luck. But I've been there before. And what did that do for me? It gave me an extra 20 years of struggle. It is not the fast path to success. All high achievers know that when you work with the right coach, that accelerates your growth. It accelerates your results. And you can get from where you are now to where you want to be pretty quickly. My coaching clients, if they just follow my instructions, they're struggle-free with their eating and their weight within 8 weeks or less, okay? But you have to just follow the steps, okay? That does not mean that they're at their ideal weight in 8 weeks. I mean, let's use common sense. If you are 50 pounds overweight, that's not going to happen. If you're dropping 1 to 2 pounds of fat per week, you're doing really good. You're on a really good track on the physical side, okay? But to get that to last and make sure that you don't boomerang back, you want to make sure that you heal the root of this binge eating. Otherwise, it's still there. It's just like weeds in your lawn. If you just go out there and you mow the lawn and you just clip off the top, what happens? They come back. They come right back. You have to pull them out at the root. If you don't pull them out at the root, they'll just come right back. And that's your experience, isn't it? Just look at your past, Hey, I can't make this stuff up. It's how these things go. You know what? If you think that you're the only one who's having these problems, you're not. Millions of people out there are having the same struggles. And that's how I know this stuff, but also because I've been there myself. So, who is your coach? Write that down. If you don't have a coach, if you don't have a proven system to follow, if you're not getting support, why not? Write down all of your negative thoughts that are stopping you. Because gosh darn it, if you are going to put yourself in that group of people where you're telling yourself that you can do it all alone, don't expect to get this fixed anytime soon. Only because how can you see your own blind spots? It doesn't mean that you are stupid or anything like that. All of my coaching clients are super smart people, very, very smart. But intelligence is not the problem here. If it were, then don't you believe that you would have fixed this already 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago? Of course you would have. So that isn't the issue. That's not what it's about. Hey, Thank you so much for tuning in here to this episode of the JoLynn Braley Show. I'd love it if you would head on over to my Facebook page, facebook.com/JoLynn Braley. Leave me a comment. Tell me what your biggest aha is that you got out of episode number 149. Tell me, what are you doing now? What are you doing to guarantee for yourself, because you're the only one who can guarantee your success. Nobody else can, okay? No one else can. It's all up to you and what you do from this point forward, and not just what you do one time. You got to stay consistent. So tell me on my Facebook page, what is your daily action plan? What are your daily action steps for healing the root of your binge eating? And if you actually want help, if you are really cool, if you are like the awesome coaching clients that I've coached who they are really smart. They already know what they need to do to lose weight and keep it off, but they are blocked and they are stuck. They're stuck in the cycle and they are unable to break free, and they're desperate to break free because they know that they deserve better. They know somewhere within them that they're not supposed to be feeling this bad about themselves. They know that there is supposed to be something better as far as a day-to-day life and a day-to-day mindset, and that they shouldn't need to apologize for wanting to look their best. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. And you can get to your ideal weight and stay there. Hey, you can totally ignore everything that I've said and just go force yourself to do a food diet, a healthy one, and you can get to your goal weight. More than likely, you won't stay there. Because if you don't heal the root of these problems, not even weight loss surgery can help you stay at your goal weight. How many people do you know who have had weight loss surgery and they gain all the weight back? Okay? It doesn't heal the root of the problem. That is what needs to be healed, and then you will set yourself free. If you want help to do that so that you can get it done as fast as possible, your first step is to complete an application for a complimentary weight loss discovery session with me. You can start that process at www.discovery-session.com, www.discovery-session.com. I think that it's easier to fill out that application on a laptop, so you have the external keyboard, because you want to make sure that you set yourself up for success, meaning that the questions that are in the application include full details. Okay, if you just put one-word answers in there, you might as well not even fill out the application, because, not everybody gets approved to get on a totally free one-on-one weight loss discovery session with me. Hey, I bet you're really, really busy. So am I. And so you understand, right? I'm happy to get on the phone with folks who fill out that application completely and demonstrate that they are serious about making real changes in their mind so that they can make real changes in their body. All right? 92.8% of this whole challenge is mindset. So you can start that now by going over to www.discovery-session.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, weight loss mindset expert, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that is not a diet because it's not a food diet, it's not an exercise program. Instead, it heals the root of your binge eating, your out of control food obsessions, whatever the unhealthy behaviors are, and it sets you free. I wish you your best life living inside of your ideal body.